Kia ora team, my name's Ben and today let's talk HHS. So HHS is a life-threatening state that our type 2 diabetics can get. So let's break down the words. Hyper means more than, gly, sugar, glucose, and emic, in the blood. So hyperglycemic, too much sugar in the blood. And remember, osmosis is fluid follows solute. So if we have too many solutes in our blood, we're going to be hyperosmolar. And that's going to pull fluid out of our cells into the blood, dehydrating. So our type 2 diabetics will develop diabetes mellitus because of lifestyle factors. So overconsumption of carbohydrates, a poor diet, and lack of exercise. And this is going to lead to insulin resistance. So when we have increased blood sugar, our beta cells of our pancreas release insulin. Insulin is the key that unlocks the door so glucose can enter the cell. Good stuff. If we have repeated overconsumption of carbohydrates and we get lots and lots of hyperglycemia constantly, then we're constantly causing our beta cells to release insulin, and eventually our cells get insulin resistant. So they no longer respond as effectively to insulin. And that's our type 2 diabetes mellitus. So you can see here, it says insulin resistance plus or minus decreased insulin production. If you have diabetes mellitus type 2 chronically, long term, and you don't control your blood sugars, then high blood sugar is going to be detrimental to our beta cells. They can get exhausted from overuse, because if we're insulin resistant, then the body says, well, let's make more insulin and more insulin. So we overwork our beta cells. And hyperglycemia is also going to be toxic to our beta cells. We're going to start breaking down our beta cells, so we get insulin resistance and then lose part of our ability to create insulin. So that's our type 2 diabetes mellitus. Okay, HHS. How does it occur? Generally what happens, we have a triggering event. So we've got an infection, myocardial ischemia, or an illness, and then our body responds to this by releasing our stress hormones. We got a stressful event, let's release our glucagon, cortisol, and epinephrine. So your body thinks, if we're going to fight a tiger, let's increase our blood glucose so we've got more energy in our blood so that we can fight whatever bad is going on. These stress hormones, we get increased blood glucose, and because we got type 2 diabetes, then we can't get the glucose into the cell effectively. So we've got insufficient insulin to decrease blood glucose to get enough glucose into the cells. Some gets through, but not enough. If we're not getting enough glucose into the cell, then we get polyphagia. Poly, like Polynesia, lots of islands, and then phagia, phagocyte is a cell that gobbles up other cells, so hunger. So if we're not getting enough glucose into the cell, we're going to have lots of hunger. That's symptom 1 of diabetes mellitus. If not enough glucose is getting in, then we release more glucagon. So glucagon was the other hormone released from our pancreas, from our alpha cells this time. And glucagon's job is to release more glucose into the blood. So we get gluconeogenesis. Our liver undergoes gluconeogenesis, where we get non-carbohydrates being converted into glucose. So glucose, neo, new, like neonate, and then Genesis, the first book in the Bible, creation. So now we're creating more glucose that can get put into the bloodstream. And the other thing that glucagon's going to do is glycogenolysis. So glycogen is our stored glucose, and then lysis means to break down or destroy. So if we're destroying our stored glucose, glycogen, we release that into the blood again, so now we've got more blood glucose. So our hyperglycemia is going to get worse and worse and worse. more blood sugar, more blood sugar. If we've got too much blood sugar, we're going to end up with glucosuria. Glucose is in our blood. We're insulin resistant, so it's hard to get that glucose into the cell, so it stays in the blood. Or we also have decreased insulin production. We don't have enough insulin to get it in the cell. So it stays in the blood, gets to the kidneys, and the kidneys say, I'll sort it out, hold my beer, and the kidneys excrete glucose. So we get more glucose in our urine. So sweet, delicious urine. If we have more glucose in our urine, osmosis, fluid follows solute. Now we get osmotic diuresis. Fluid is going to follow the glucose out. So now we're going to have polyuria, lots of urine. And if we're weeing out lots of stuff, then we're going to get polydipsia. So lots of thirst. D for dipsia, D for drink. So now if this continues and we're constantly excreting out our glucose and water, we're going to get dehydration. This is going to be a problem. If we get all our water shifting out of our cells and being pulled into our blood, and then the blood getting filtered and then losing fluid and glucose through the urinary tract, then if we have dehydration in our brain, we get our neurological symptoms like confusion, seizures, and coma. And that is our HHS. Okay, so we talked about DKA in a previous video, diabetic ketoacidosis. And with this one, we get a buildup of ketones. We don't see this in HHS because we do release insulin. In DKA, with our type 1 diabetics, there's no insulin release, so no glucose can get into the cell. With HHS, we've got a type 2 diabetic, we do have insulin release, and even though it's not as effective as it could be because we're insulin resistant, still some glucose gets in the cell. If some glucose gets in the cell, then any fats that we do break down, fats get broken down, made into free fatty acids, then they can enter the mitochondria as acetyl-CoA, and they can get fully broken down because when we break down glucose, we get pyruvate, which turns into oxaloacetate. And as long as we have these two, the Krebs cycle can work and we can fully break down our fats. If we didn't get any glucose in, like with DKA, we wouldn't have pyruvate or oxaloacetate, therefore we couldn't fully break down our fats. So instead of lovely beta oxidation occurring, the fats would then turn into ketones, and ketos are acidic. So we don't get ketones because we can fully break down our fats because we have the byproducts of the breakdown of glucose. Lovely. The other thing, and probably more important, is when we get insulin release, we release insulin when our blood sugar is high. So therefore, insulin is going to inhibit lipolysis. Because why would we need to break down our fats if we've got lots of sugar we can use for energy? So if we inhibit lipolysis, the breakdown of lipids, fats, then we're not going to get the free fatty acids needing to be broken down in the cell. Okay, gorgeous. Okay, happy studying. Quick recap. HHS, hyperosmolar hyperglycemic state, is in our type 2 diabetics, and we got type 2 diabetes mellitus due to lifestyle factors leading to insulin resistance and or decreased insulin production. Now, if we release insulin, then some glucose gets into the cell, but not enough. If not enough glucose is getting into the cell, we get polyphagia, hunger, hunger, hunger. So we stimulate the release of glucagon. Glucagon's job is to increase sugar in the body, in the blood, and we get gluconeogenesis happening in the liver. Gluconeogenesis creation. So we create sugar out of non-carbohydrate sources. increasing blood glucose. Glucagon also causes glycogenolysis. Glycogen is our stored sugar in our liver and our muscles. Lysis means breakdown. So we break down our stored sugar to release it into the blood. Increase blood sugar again. So now we've got more hyperglycemia. If we've got too much sugar in the blood, it travels across and it gets to the kidneys. The kidneys say, I got you, and filter out the excess sugar, excess glucose. And we know with osmosis, fluid follows solute. So away the water goes out in our urine with the glucose. Glucosuria, increased glucose in the urine, leading to osmotic diuresis. Osmotic, fluid follows solute. Diuresis, increased urine. All right, if we have this, we get polyuria, lots of urine, which leads to polydipsia, lots of thirst. Now, if this keeps going on and on and on, we get dehydrated, and we can have HHS for a long time. DKA will shut us down quicker because we get acidic and therefore our body shuts down. Whereas without the creation of ketones, we can be in HHS for a lot longer. So our blood sugar levels will get even higher than DKA. And the limiting factor will be this dehydration. And if we dehydrate around our brain, we can get neurosymptoms, confusion, seizures, coma. And again, why don't we get ketone production in HHS? The answer is because we have some insulin. If we've got insulin, insulin inhibits lipolysis, which is the breakdown of fats. If we don't break a lot of fats down, then we don't need to fully break them down in the mitochondria. And any fats that do get broken down, because we have some insulin and some glucose gets into the cell, we get the byproducts of carbohydrate metabolism, being pyruvate and oxaloacetate, which means any fats can get fully broken down and we don't get ketone production. Remember, fats burn in the carbohydrate flame. All right, team, I think we've got this. Happy studying.